Fire Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully you guys are doing well. It's a little early, so by the time you see this video, it'll probably be about 7, 8 o'clock. Well, it's that time, and not too much has changed, unfortunately. So it could get storms to fire as early as maybe even 10 in the morning Central Time. But well, actually, there have been a few changes in regards to the area of concern. There's still a moderate risk, but it has been pushed a little further west as well now. We've begun to get a little bit more of an extension back towards the west a bit. We're including more parts of Louisiana now. But we have to also watch now Meridian, Vicksburg, and Clinton now for the now moderate risk of severe weather, which includes the threat of strong to violent tornadoes. That, of course, hasn't changed too much. Our hatched risk over here hasn't changed much. Neither has our enhanced 10% area of a tornado threat. Our wind threat has actually downtrended a bit here. We're now looking at 15%, and that may very well be due to the storm mode that we have here. The convective side of this system is definitely leaning more towards discrete cells than a line of thunderstorms, even as the cold front comes in. So I'm thinking that that has caused the wind threat to decrease, or it could be an oversight on their part. But another thing that got interesting is the hail threat now on the western fringe of this severe weather threat now. We're now looking at a 30% area here. That's an enhanced risk, just a heads up. But you also have a hatched risk over here over towards Louisiana and Arkansas, and then of course western Mississippi. This includes Little Rock, Lufkin, Alexandria, Shreveport, and of course Jackson, Mississippi. Oh, and let's not forget Memphis. But this is basically a threat for 2-inch hail or greater. I don't think that's a mistake, because when we were looking at the skewed T charts from last night's video, I saw plenty of lapse rates at the mid levels. So this does add up. So ultimately, again, like I've been saying in previous days, storm modes on all three models, the storm modes on all three storm hazards, I should say, are possible here. Sorry if I'm slurring my words. I just woke up maybe about 5 minutes ago. But that's the situation we have for right now. Let's go ahead and quickly look at current conditions here before our storm. So let's take a look at the latest HRRR here. This is the current conditions right now, actually, by the way. We're already getting into the 70s in some parts of southeastern Texas here, in eastern Texas. Already towards the Gulf Coast, there's spots that are hitting about 65 right now, which is pretty crazy to think about. Our warm sector's really already begun to blossom here. And this is about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're already getting 70s over towards Baton Rouge and Louisiana. And then this stretches into New Orleans, Shreveport. By the time we get to 18Z, the mid 60s and upper 70s have worked their way into central Mississippi, and even working their way in Alabama. It's going to be warm across the entire southeast today, for the most part. Maybe the Carolinas are going to be a little chilly. But this is when we get to 21Z. We're in the mid to upper 70s here, and we're getting towards the mid 70s over towards central Mississippi. This is going to be around peak time for these storms to be popping off here. So this instability is definitely not going away, and then as this front comes in, it's going to push this warm air a little bit further to the east. So let's go ahead and take a look at the dew points. Again, here's our warm sector and our moist sector intersecting at the exact same point, so no surprises there. So we'll move this up to about 18Z, and lo and behold, we already have that those 70-degree dew points already working their way well into Louisiana. So this is going to be a focal point for the instability here. I've been talking about this area a lot in particular. This doesn't have the greatest wind shear. It's going to be more over towards northern Mississippi, which is why we have such great concern there. But the amount of instability available, plus the abundant amount of wind shear, will probably overcome some of those, some of the lesser parameters there. And once we get into the overnight hours here, I mean, the dew points are still in, or late night hours here, we're looking at dew points still in the mid 60s to low 70s here. So it's really not going to be until the overnight hours here where I think the severe weather threat and the tornado threat will start to die down. So let's go ahead and examine the wind gust at the surface. So as of right now, there's not a whole lot of wind going on, but should the sun start when the sun starts rising, I do think that that could change. But we already are getting some winds where we're at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Even in the areas that aren't in the enhanced and slight risk, there's going to be some pretty sufficient wind gusts throughout the day. Which is really just an indicator of how much energy there is in the atmosphere. Once we get to about 16Z here, winds definitely are starting to pick up here because our storm system in that upper level low is actually all the way up here. But you don't need a lot of forcing with this kind of setup to get what we're expecting here. In fact, you actually want less. But that's another video for another time. And that'll be on the Weather Nerd 101 playlist. Also, look throughout the video and you will also be seeing a number of other YouTubers that do live streaming for the severe events. My goal is to try to keep anyone safe that may happen to be watching in one of these areas of interest here. So just try to do what you can to have a way to get the warnings and the watches. Remember, when a warning is issued, that's when it's likely happening. A watch is to let you know, hey, keep your eyes open, hence why it's called a watch. But move this along here. In our areas of interest, we're still getting pretty sufficient gusts here. We're getting up to about maybe 20, some places even 30, even 40 miles an hour. A few wind advisories might even be issued in this area. I may look at that in just a minute. But that just shows how much wind energy we have going on right now with this storm system. Pretty robust. So there's going to be one other thing that I look at here, or a couple other things I look at here before I go. First one is going to be our little reflectivity loop. So here's our storm mode. Things start to fire around 18Z, which is going to be about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And of course, you can see the convective mode. We talked a lot about this more yesterday, so I'm not going to be super in depth, especially because I don't have much time. But you can clearly see the severe weather threat beginning to really pop off here by between 5 and 8 o'clock here. That's going to be the main threat, but this threat's still going to linger into the overnight, it looks like, because here we are at 03Z, and we can still see a handful of discrete storms around here. And we, of course, have this big swath of heavy rain here. And one thing that I don't always make mention of in these videos, and I should do a better job of it, is also the flood threat here. Because when you have storms like this that are basically like a conveyor belt just training over the same areas over and over again, the threat for flooding increases exponentially. So we'll go ahead and move this along. And while it's only 18 hours, you can see this little stretch right here where we're looking at 2 to 4 inches worth of rain possibly. Yeah, look at that, about 3.3, close to 3.5 inches. You can see that little blotch of yellow here, so 4 inches is definitely possible. We aren't, no one really can do a good job of getting that much rain in a short amount of time, so a flash flood warning gets issued. Just also be ready for the potential for that as well. One other thing I want to look at too, to see if there's any chance that this could be limited. There's a good bit of cloud cover over this region. through the early afternoon hours. Oh no. Then maybe we have a shot at this being a little bit more limited, but unfortunately, that doesn't look to be the case. It looks like we get a good bit of daytime heating, good bit of cloud cover early on, or good lack of cloud cover early on. And then, of course, by 15Z, that's when our storms will start to fire. So, depending on if there's like early morning storms, maybe we still have a shot here at maybe limiting our tornado threat with the cloud cover, but for the most part, it does not look like that's going to be the case. I was really open, but that's the end of the video here. If you liked what I did here, definitely drop me a like. Of course, share this last video before the storms start to roll in. To anyone that may be in these areas of concern, this is Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, parts of Tennessee as well. Those are the greatest areas of concern, but we can't rule out Kentucky, Alabama, Illinois, and Indiana here, and even parts of Missouri. But I got a jet, hit the shower, and get ready to go. Appreciate you guys being here. You guys stay safe. This has been Ty Metalhead Weatherman. I'll see you guys in the next one.